Welcome to the August 27th, 2024 regular meeting of the Mason City Schools Board of Education. The board's been in a work session but is now ready to convene to this regular session. So the next item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please stand and join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have, let's see, approval of the May 2024 minutes, as well as, are there some other minutes on here, Sean, that we need to approve?
Yep, we've got two from May, 2 from June, and 1 from July.
Great, all right. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All right, Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
4-0.
All right, superintendent's presentations. Jonathan?
All right. I'm just going to move over here for a second. Before I get there, I'm one off. I'll let you do. Sorry, I'm a little ahead of my schedule. I apologize. Each month we have a Mason Moment wayfinding moment. Basically, the idea behind a wayfinding moment is that we are just diving in, taking a look at something a little closer in our district. We are a big district, but we want it to feel like a small community. And so Tracy and her crew do such a beautiful job of finding those stories based on the recommendations from our teachers, our parents, our staff, and letting us know. And so then we try to highlight one each month to help people find their way in understanding who we are and learning a little bit about our story and our culture. So Tracy, I'll turn it over to you.
So this cherished Mason High School wayfinding moment began in August 2020 when students and families, already mourning the loss of a canceled spring sports season and facing an unprecedented school year, asked former principal Bobby Dodd for the opportunity to paint their own parking spots. Mr. Dodd said yes, and a new tradition was born. And now Comet seniors express their individuality every summer through personalized artwork from favorite quotes to childhood memories on their senior spot. The event has since become a community celebration, showcasing each senior's creativity and unique personality, bringing together families, friends, and the community to appreciate the time, care, and effort put into each design. Many thanks to the MHS PTO this year for organizing a parking spot showcase.
I've been excited since like freshman year. With Mason being the largest high school in the state of Ohio, this is their opportunity, the seniors' opportunity to choose to paint a spot to highlight their individual personality, whether it be their favorite quote or their favorite cartoon or something from their childhood or different parts of their each year of high school. And it's just amazing just to see their individual personalities come to life in their spot.
It's my first time here at high school, American High School, so it's very cool, very new. We have nothing like this in Italy, nothing like parking spots or anything else because we got our driver's license for a car at 18. It's something new, something American to start this school year in the traditional way.
The artwork that these seniors do blows my mind, and just they take so much time and care and effort that I thought, why can't we showcase it to the community, the district, and have them look at all the beautiful artwork and the time that they took. So I wanted it to be an enjoyable community event that people can come to, and to see the grandparents, the seniors, their parents taking pictures in front of the spots, walking around with
see each individual person showing themselves off through their parts and spots. Seeing everybody painting all of their spots with their favorite things is really cool because I get to see what everybody loves and everybody gets to see what I love. And that's really inspiring and cool to me.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you, team, for putting that together. Thank you, PTO at the high school, for making it a special showcase this year. I was able to go out there. I know they had food trucks, and the weather was gorgeous. It was a perfect evening. And for all the creativity, I think the saddest part is at the end, we don't capture those somehow. I know we probably take a picture of all of them, but they're beautiful art pieces. If you haven't seen them, we invite you to come check that out. Thanks. All right. For our next presentation, I'll just move over here to the other side of the room. All right, for our next superintendent presentation, it is my great pleasure to introduce an amazing educator and just overall person that comes from a wonderful family of educators, and just excited to introduce you to Allison Sears. A quick introduction to Allison Sears. Allison Sears, an 8th grade science teacher at Mason Middle School, was selected as the Regional State Board District 4 Teacher of the Year. She is a veteran educator of 26 years. Sears has a remarkable ability to cultivate meaningful relationships, authentic relationships with her kids, which is one of our comic culture values, and she does that so well. I've seen that personally in our own family as she has come out and watched sports and watched one of our kids play basketball. She is one of those educators that just goes above and beyond and cares about our kids beyond even the classroom. Sears has a passion for teaching, and it was ignited at a young age when she turned her basement into a mock classroom, complete with a vintage school desk, green chalkboard, shelves lined with golden books. This sounds like my current basement right now with my daughter. So I think this is the great trajectory. And our therapy dog is here just in case we need that as well.
Looking for his favorite man.
That's great. We, here at Mason, we are a family, and we have great educators. We also have great therapy dogs, and we have a great team to support here. With an imaginary classroom of students, she discovered her calling. She's an influential teacher, and she continues to nurture our students throughout their middle school years. And that middle school years are, if you've had a middle schooler, those moments are so precious for our kids. They don't really know exactly who they are, and these wonderful educators wrap around our kids, and they pour into them. The dedication of Sears extends beyond the classroom walls as she serves as a department chair, a mentor to fellow teachers. She's respected as a thought leader in shaping the culture in our buildings in our district. Sears teaches. Her teaching journey began at Kings High School, a wonderful district right next door with a wonderful superintendent, Mr. Sears, where she taught freshman biology. She coached soccer and softball teams. And her education background includes a bachelor's degree in botany and chemistry, and she has a master's degree in teaching, all at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Love and honor. Through her unwavering commitment to her students and her profession, Sears continues to shape young minds and inspire the next generation of learners, carrying out the legacy and influence as a teacher that she first had that passion as a young person and carried that on, and her dreams came true, and she continues to help other kids in their dreams coming true. Please welcome Allison Sears.
I'm really good thinking on the spot. Just
Okay, just kidding.
Get to do it every day. I'll turn it over to our board if you have any just comments or questions about her journey to this point and what that entailed.
Want to kick it off?
I have a question, and this may sound inappropriate, but 26 years? You've had 26. Is that what he said? 26. You look like you could be in middle school. Nice. I
sure hope my 8th graders think that. Not, oh, we got this old lady this year. Yep, I'm going into my 27th year.
Wow,
But I tell them all I feel young, energetic, and just as excited about teaching this year as any year before.
And how many years have you been at Mason?
25.
25 of the
This is my
26?
25th,
Oh,
so,
wow, okay.
yeah.
Wow, we're so
Eighth grade,
grateful to have
yeah,
you.
8th grade science the whole time. They just can't shake me. They can't shake me.
It takes someone special to stay middle school, I think, for that duration.
No, I've
It really
always
does.
said you've got to love that age to teach
Mhm.
that age, and I do think it's true, and I hope that
Definitely.
they feel it too.
What has it been like to teach in a district where you've also raised your own Comet kids and watched them grow up?
Is that on or off the record? Thankfully, there's no cameras in my room because my kids come in the morning every now and then. They just don't feel like, doing what mommy is asking them to do. And I'm like, I'm at the job right now. I'm at work. I got hundreds of kids that do what I tell them to do. What are you? You must go. Let's go. It's been wonderful. I hope that I'm a good role model for my girls. I've got 3 girls that have gone through here, and they have a unique experience. We eat, live, breathe, sleep Mason Comets. We are all proud to be Mason Comets, and they see the joy in me when I get to see my students at Kroger, at the community center, at the basketball games, and just being out in the community. It's just been fun, and even supporting my own kids, and for them to come with me to support their friends and. It's neat. I think it's unique, but I think they love it. They probably especially love it once they get to high school when they're not all so many eyes looking at them, and they feel like there's cameras everywhere they go. But it's certainly a unique part of our journey. But they've all had wonderful experiences.
So how have you grown over these past 27 years? And what have you learned from just being in a room full of 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, that you could share with all of us?
That's a really good question. One that I've thought a lot about, particularly going through the interview process. I'll tell you my number one message to any educator, any young teacher, everybody is that relationships matter. And I think, as a new teacher, you're kind of nervous. What if the principal comes in and Johnny's not behaving? What if, I don't know, you're just nervous. So I feel like a turning point in my career was when I built the relationships with my administrators, with my colleagues, with the parents, the community, where I just felt supported, encouraged, and I felt like it was safe for me to take a risk in my classroom, that failure is okay. And that is truly when I grew as an educator. When I had wonderful colleagues, our LEDs, I had lots of people who inspired me with ideas, and I have great teaching partners that I'm like, this sounds pretty neat. If I try it, will you try it? And that's just something that's unique, I think, but that I just have great relationships. I have a great science department that we work with. Like I said, great LEDs that have given us inspiration and things to try, but most important, it's that relationship and trust that if this doesn't go real well, I'm not going to get fired. I mean, it's okay. That's how I grew.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of separated to have just an amazing space in my classroom where I could tell the relations. The kids came in, were inspired. They felt like it was a safe, fun place to learn. And I just really think that was a turning point in who I am as a teacher and kind of what was happening in my classroom. But it's a credit to Mason City Schools. We have hundreds of exceptional teachers here. So I truly don't feel deserving of this honor. I really don't, because it's just a wonderful place. It's blessed. We're unique. We are exceptional. And before coming tonight, and you asked about my family, you see my favorite color is green. My favorite team are the Comets. I couldn't be more proud to live in our community, to teach in this amazing school district, and always proud to be a Comet. So.
So Allison, I think it'll be similar maybe to your last question, and I think we could probably guess, but could you speak to what, I mean, after 26 years to still be going above and beyond and knocking it out of the park and really pouring this much into your students' experience, what is it about this profession, your job, your day-to-day, what is it that you get out of it that helps you make that happen every day for our students? And maybe as a way of inspiring new teachers going into the profession, that in year 27, you can still be that jazzed up about the experience. What makes you tick that way?
You know, I'm going to go back to what I said before. It's the relationships. That is what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me excited. Even just being intentional at meeting a couple friends at lunch, despite all the things on my to-do list, the Post-its for that Post-it, for the other Post-it, it really is important to just stop and be intentional about pouring into those relationships, even just to talk things out, you know, to have a healthy mindset. That's what makes it not just work, not just a job.
Yeah.
It's a fun place to be. Laughter, you know, laughter, joy, and also, you know, tears. Emotions are real. It happens, and just having a safe group of colleagues to talk with and laugh with and all that good stuff. So save a seat at the staff meeting for.
Well, I think I speak for everybody in saying that in a district of exceptional teachers, to be one of just 11 district teachers of the year in the whole state, and I think the first one, certainly since I've been on the board, Connie might, if she were here, she might be able to remember if we've had another one in her time on the board. I don't recall having somebody that has been put up for this award and this recognition from our district receiving it. So you are truly exceptional among the exceptional. So we are just so proud of you and honored that you've made Mason your home, and we would love to bring you down here and give you a little token of our appreciation.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, thank
You know what, Jay, why don't you join in as well?
Yeah, Jay, I'd like to invite Jay and Shauna. Shauna? Yeah, Jay Reuter and Shauna Bumiller were the ones that put Allison into the mix for this. So I want to, invite them down. That'd be great.
Go back.
That's why my dog is on
And then, the kids say it too.
They do, yeah. Great. Thank you. Congratulations again. Yes. Has that same, yes. Allison, thank you again for being a great representative of all of our teachers and our district and representing us well on the journey along the way. Thank you, Jay and Shauna, for recognizing this teacher, and thank you, Greg, for being a great support as well in this process. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Go. All right, for our third superintendent presentation, we wanted to take some time tonight. It's an important evening, and there's been such diligent work over the last 6 months on this process, and that is our negotiated agreement with our teacher union. And so we wanted to take a second to highlight a few things. There's a lot that goes on in that process, and there's a lot more detail than we're going to get into tonight, and obviously we're happy to review that with anyone that would like to. But we're just going to hit some highlights today. So if you would give me a second to get to my notes. There we go. First, I'd like to just start by just recognizing a couple things. First of all, negotiations, the process is not an easy process, and it's not easy for anyone that's involved. It's hard work. There's a lot of diligence behind the scenes that goes into it. There's a lot of conversation, and there's a lot of things that we're trying to meet in that process. And during that process, it requires lots of patience from people that are involved, also the people that are outside waiting for there to be an agreement. And so I want to recognize first and foremost that it was not easy. And it was not easy on anyone that was in the process, our board included, our teacher union representatives, ourselves involved in that, but also I understand that it goes beyond that. It goes to our team, to our community, to our students. And so I just want everyone to know that we appreciate your patience in that process, and we do want to recognize that that process did have an impact on all of us. But I also want to turn and recognize that we are confident in where we are going and where we are going forward with this, and confident in the results that came out of this process moving forward. And I have this picture on the screen, and I know that people that have known my time here, 11 years in the district, that's a cairn, not a Karen like your neighbor or someone you might know, but it's a cairn, which is a stack of rocks, and it's a wayfinding symbol. And that wayfinding symbol is something that when you're a hiker, these are really important. They're important not just to show you where the pathway is, but to show you where the pathway is certain, to show you where the pathway is safe. And so when we go through this process and when we move out of it and move forward with our staff, one of the things that we can always do is find our common ground, to find our cairn, our symbol of hope, so to speak. And I would say that is that common ground that pulls us together. Our community came together 6-7 years ago now and worked together on designing what we call our comet culture. That's something that we came together and asked community members, teachers, staff, students to come together, and we came down to these values. And those values are owning the moment, meaning the idea that we get better tomorrow than we were today. We're a learning organization, so we're constantly getting better at what we're doing. It might be just adjusting our buses this week and getting better at that and delivering on time. It could be little things, it could be big things, but it's part of what we believe, and it's getting better tomorrow than today. We believe, and you heard this clearly with Mrs. Sears, the idea that building meaningful relationships is at the center of everything we do. We're a people business, and so building those relationships and moving forward, and those relationships matter. And then finally, everyone has a story, and those stories come together to make Mason a beautiful place. And you heard some of those stories tonight with Allison talking about her journey and just her connection with our students and how that motivates her. All of those stories are what I would point to as part of our cairn, our symbol of hope and our common ground moving forward as we come out of working through hard things together. And so we do have confidence moving forward. And I want to talk about some of the things that we have learned and that came out of this process that I think will be very valuable to all that were involved and all that will be impacted. One of the things that we talked a lot about is time. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone in the world today that time is probably the most valuable thing that we have with each other. And one of the conversations that we had a lot during that process was the value of time, and how time and giving enough time for people to do the work that we need to do to deliver Mason quality, the quality that our community expects from us. You know, people move to Mason from all around the world because of the quality of education, the generations of excellence. And for us to continue to deliver that kind of quality of experience in and out of the classroom, we needed that time. And so that was a big discussion, is how do we create this time for collaboration, for dealing with all of the, I taught in the classroom 3rd and 4th grade, and over my 20 plus years in education, things have changed. The expectations that are happening in our classrooms, our teachers have a lot more on their plate. And we serve a beautifully diverse community. We want to meet all the needs of all of our students, and so that takes time. And so we wanted to really work hard at recognizing that through that process. I want to show you where that shows up in a practical way. So some of the ways that shows up is the calendar. So the calendar is a big conversation as we're going through negotiations, because that's where we find the time that we have and the time that we need to move forward. So some of the changes coming out for the 24-25, and that's the current school year calendar. We talked a lot about that. We don't want to make drastic changes because people have planning in place. But one of the changes that we did was we agreed to have no student days after Memorial Day. So that is new to everyone hearing that. But if you're planning, and you're a planner like we are as a family, that we will have no student days after Memorial Day on this current school year academic calendar, which means there will be 3 fewer student days for us to be able to accomplish that. And that last day of school for all of our students will be on May 23rd, 2025. That also has impacts not just on our students, but also there's some changes for our teachers as well. And so the changes that we have made for this year is to add more time in terms of flex. So we have this concept called flex time for our teaching staff. And flex time came about in a previous negotiated conversation where we were talking about, our teachers are professionals, and they wanted to have flexibility in where they worked and where they collaborated, if they want to have a data conversation at Starbucks, they could do it there, that flexibility in time. And so we have 30 hours of flex time built into our agreement in our calendar. And so we've added some time, some flex time this year to that at the end. And we'll look at some other ways that we've added that in the future. And then finally on May 29th and May 30th, those will just be days, they'll be non-work days, but they are paid work days, but not reporting to work physically on those days. So that's how the calendar is impacted this year. Moving forward to future years, we have a structure in place. We'll have a calendar committee that will finalize details, but the general structure, so people understand the general structure, how did we create and find more time? One of the ways we did that was we went from 180 total student days to 178 total student days for the state reporting. But it will include 3 less in-person student days. And the way we get that, the way that that's structured out, and some people will know this, but if anybody's wondering, like, how do you get to that? Because maybe the math doesn't add up for you. But the way we get to that is we have the one welcome day at the beginning, and that welcome day is something that came out of COVID. It's one of the great things that came out of that, where we all together welcome our families in, and we take the time to get to know our families in smaller group settings. So it's a great chance for all of our staff to do that on a work day, but it's also a student day for them to be involved in our families. We have 2 phase-in days. Those are days where 50% of our students come at a time. And it just allows us, again, to slow row that first week so people can come and get to know their routines. Our teachers get to know and build those relationships that Allison Sears was talking about earlier. And then there's 4 personal learning days. We have 2 personal learning days currently in our calendar. Those are days where students have the day at home or wherever they want. They could do a college visit. They could work on a project that their teacher has them working on. There's lots of different ways they can use it, but there's connectivity from it's going beyond the classroom, saying, hey, we have days where students can work and do amazing enrichment work outside, and they can come back and report on that and connect with the rest of their class. But it also creates time for us as an organization to provide for our teaching staff and our other staff members as well. So those will go from 2 to 4. And then we do have 1 student day that's just an off student day for the day before Thanksgiving break. And so that Thanksgiving fall break, that Friday before, will be a day off so that we can create another day for some collaboration for our staff as well. So those are just some updates for what's coming up. The last student day we're always aiming to have that last student day before Memorial Day on the future calendars coming up in this next couple of years as well. More time. So one of the things that we're really focused on in this calendar conversation was just creating time and what were we able to accomplish together in our work. Through negotiations is one, to honor and to continue the 30 hours of flex time, that time for collaboration beyond the classroom, outside of the classroom for our teachers, and continue that work that they're doing. The 12.5 hours of on-campus work time is new. So that's a new concept. So the flex time is great, but sometimes teachers want to be able to work with each other in person. And the flex time, they could be at different locations, and sometimes it's hard to organize everyone to one place. So the 12.5 allows people to be on campus to collaborate here and get work done together in person. And that was a really important piece of what our teachers really needed. And so we were able to accomplish that. And then there's so many as I mentioned before, things on our teachers' plates, needs for professional learning and growth, new ideas and collaboration, and there's just so much. And so we only had 15 hours of personalized professional learning time, so we've almost doubled that with this new calendar structure to create more time for learning and collaboration together. You know, better tomorrow than today is part of who we are, and that is just part of learning how to meet students' needs. And so we need time for that. We can't just, that doesn't just happen. And so whether it's artificial intelligence or it's a new way, a new curriculum, we need the time to do that. And so this gives us a little bit more flexibility. In that professional learning and that collaboration time, those are times for teachers to be together. Most of our professional learning is in concert with teachers developing that and delivering that. That's why it's high quality, because our teachers are the ones giving that most of the time. And if not, we bring an expert in, and then we try to survey them and find out what do they need next. That's actually one of the questions on our professional learning surveys is, what do you need next? And so that helps inform Dr. Brennan and her team and others that are involved in that process to make sure that we're continuing to craft that in a way. And we have big ideas of how that moves forward, that it gets more and more personalized to meet the personal needs of each and every staff member. All right, coming soon. So we don't have the structure of we have the overall structure of the 26-27 that will follow the structure of what I just discussed, but we will have a calendar committee come together soon, and we will put together the details of that, and then we'll get that information out to our public as soon as we can. If you do have any feedback for future calendars in the future for us to consider, it's never too early for you to share that with us so that we know kind of how you're feeling, because we use that data as well and that information. Always, we have community convo at masonohioschools.com. Always let us know your thinking, and if it's something that we can incorporate or think through, then we'll try to take that into consideration as we plan. All right, at this time, I think I'm turning it over to our CFO, Sean Bevan.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Before I get into some of the financial highlights of this agreement, I thought I'd take a minute and just talk about some concepts or guiding principles really that have been in place for this board and previous boards really over the past 10, 15, 20 years. And really that guiding concept when it comes to compensation is being in the top tier of the market. And so that's something that I really appreciate about this board and previous boards, is that you guys really understand that in the service business, like we are in education, the biggest asset we have is our people, and we can't provide a high quality service or a high quality product to our kids and families without having great staff. And so part of having great staff is paying in the top tier of the market. So whether that's, for anybody who's watched our board meetings over the last few years, whether that's teachers or bus drivers or cafeteria workers or aides or administrators, our board's goal has always been to be in the top tier of the market. And so that's something I really appreciate, and something that we did see flow through in this contract as well. So if we're going to pay in the top tier of the market, how do we define what that market is? So for us, it really comes down to a couple things. We're looking at other high-performing, highly rated school districts in our area. So these are school districts that if Tanya and her team are out recruiting staff and they're saying, hey, we need a great science teacher or math teacher or second grade teacher, whatever it might be, what other districts are we going to be competing with for that talent? And those districts are a lot of times the same districts that families who might be looking to move into the area, or they may already be in the area but might say, hey, I'm not happy with the quality of education where I'm at, I'm going to look to go somewhere else. We believe that these are the kinds of districts that those families might look at, or the kind of districts that other staff might look at when they're looking to make a move. And so the districts you see up here on the list are these area districts that are highly rated from the niche rankings. And so this is kind of how we define the market, is looking at those districts for comparisons. So another thing that's really important in terms of comparisons is education levels and experience. And so we are fortunate here in Mason to have a highly experienced and a highly educated staff. So on the right side of this screen, you can see that about 60% of our staff have a master's degree plus an additional 30 hours of education. So we have a highly educated staff. On the left side, you can see that almost 60% of our staff have at least 16 years of experience. So again, part of the high quality staff team that we have, lots of experience, lots of education, And that also comes into play when we're looking at, again, our comparisons in the market, and we'll talk more about that here in the next slide. So we have different salary schedules. All public school districts do. And so we just talked about how 60% of our staff are on the master's plus, or have a master's degree plus 30 hours. So that means that they're paid on the master's degree, the master's plus 30 pay scale. And so this graph up here, you can kind of see some of those districts that we talked about being in the market, where they top out on that master's plus 30 scale right over the last 10 years. And so it's a little bit jumbled, but on the far left-hand side is the first fiscal year there is fiscal year 14. And so the second year in this graph, you can see in fiscal year 15, Mason actually passed Sycamore to move into the number 3 slot on that master's plus 30 scale. And really, we have stayed in that top tier of the market over the last 10 years. So we've gone anywhere from 3 to 2 to 3, and as the school year we just finished, we were number 3 again behind Indian Hill and Wyoming. They're in the top tier of the market. This chart really just shows the numbers that are driving that graph on the last page. So if anybody wants to look at the details of what exactly those dollar amounts are, it's up here. But again, we are third as we finish the last school year, third behind Indian Hill and Wyoming. So for this next contract, it's going to cover fiscal years 25, 26, and 27. So the base salary increases for fiscal year 25 and 26 are 3%. Base salary increase for fiscal year 27 is 2.75%. And you see the word base salary increases up here. That is important to note because, again, going back to those salary schedules on how we pay, there are step increases as well. Sometimes a step increase has no value to it, and sometimes it does have value. So our step increases are anywhere from 0% to a high of 5.74%. So those step increases will also be honored as part of this contract. So this next graph looks at, the first one was looking at the last 10 years up through fiscal year 24, which is what we just finished. This graph also incorporates the new 3 years to the new contract. So one of the things that's important to note is, you know, with our guiding principle and desire to be in the top tier of the market, you can kind of see over the past 10 years, we've been in that top tier on the master's plus 30 scale. And this contract, the good news is that it assures that we will continue to be in the top tier of the market for the next 3 years as well. So again, same 3 districts at the top there, Indian Hill, Wyoming, and Mason. So good news, we will continue to be in that top tier. And again, this chart just kind of shows, again, some of the dollar amounts that are tied and really feed that graph. You will notice on this one, there's a couple blanks out to the far right, and that just means that those districts have not negotiated or settled on a dollar amount or a percentage increase for those years. So the data we have in here is the data we know as of today. Something else that we're really proud of here in Mason is our retention rate. And so we have a retention rate with our teaching staff of over 98%. And we know that one of the things that's important for providing a high quality product to students and families is being able to provide consistency and stability and have the same high quality educators year after year. And so we're grateful that we are able to report a retention rate of over 98%. And we're also aware that compensation is a big piece of that. And so again, just grateful that we can continue to be in that top tier, meeting this goal of continuing to attract and retain high quality staff. So what about attracting top talent? The graphs we've been looking at so far are looking at the top of the scale. When we attract new staff, obviously we're not going to move them directly to the top of the scale, and so they're going to start down the lower end. So let's take a look at that. These graphs kind of show, sorry Tracy, you back up one. These graphs kind of show why that would be important. It's always important to be able to recruit staff. We always have some turnover or retirees, and so it's always important to be able to recruit some staff. These graphs show that it's going to be even more important over the next 10 to 20 years. Again, looking on the left side, we have about 60% of our staff have 16 years or more experience. If you break it down even a little bit further, we have over 20% of our staff will be eligible to retire within the next 10 years. And so it's going to be really important to be able to continue to recruit new staff to the district. So this graph is actually the same concept as the ones we were looking at a minute ago, but a little bit different numbers. These are actually on the Bachelor Zero scale. So how do we compare? We looked at the Master's Plus 30 and how we compare to those school districts. How do we compare to these same high quality school districts on the Bachelor Zero rate? And again, happy to report that we are also in the top tier of the market with this group. We're actually number 4. We finished last year. and again, still in the top tier where we are being able to recruit and retain high-quality staff. This chart, again, just shows the dollar amounts of that. One of the things that's interesting to note is that there are 2 districts who are in the top 4 of both of those graphs. You'll notice that if you look at this comparison, there's a different order to those districts compared to the Masters Plus 30 scale that we're looking at. Lakota and Mason are the only 2 who are in the top 4 for both. And so again, grateful to be able to report that we are competitive at the top of the market, and we're also competitive at the bottom of the market. Another piece that's important for recruiting and training staff is a good health insurance package. And I'm happy to report here that we are maintaining the same high-quality health insurance package that we have had before. Our employees, we have a high-deductible health plan with a health savings account. Our employees, all employees pay 15% of the premium, and on a single plan with a $2,000 deductible, the board does contribute $1,000 into the health savings account to help offset that deductible cost. And on a family plan, it's a $4,000 deductible. The board will continue to contribute $2,000 into the HSA to help offset that. So again, that's an annual thing. That's what we've had in place before, and we'll continue to have that in place over the next 3 years. Dr. Cooper.
All right, I'll just stay here in my seat to just wrap up this presentation. First and foremost, we call this our legacy investment. That's something that we've been working a lot on as a team, and thinking about, as Sean said, with a seasoned staff that has great experience. Those experiences have created just exceptional opportunities for our kids, and we don't want to lose that over time. So one of the things that we've talked a lot about is, what does a legacy investment look like? And so we use objectives and key results, an OKR system with our team to set goals for the future. One of those focus areas is legacy investment and continuing the generations of excellence that have come before us, to continue those on into the future, to continue to be a place where people want to move, in that destination district where people come in and they have those experiences, we talk about them, and they pass that on to the next generation as well. We love our staff. One of the things that I'll share is they do amazing things, and just a real practical, sometimes it's good to hear just a practical story of how that legacy impacts families. I just dropped my oldest off at college this last weekend, and Henry went to college to major in accounting. I believe, and he has told us, a big reason for that is his experience with the business department, specifically the Don, Cindy Donnelly, who the kids just love, and she's a legend here, and she started the bank program, which is a real bank right here in our high school, about 20 years ago. Came to the Board of Education, said, I've got an idea. The Board of Education supported the idea, moved forward. I think even had to give some financial support to get it off the ground. She moved forward, and kids year after year have been impacted. I know Sean has had, his daughter was, I think, a co-president of that experience. And so those are when I think of like legacy experiences for our kids, and that generations of excellence, it's teachers that have thought outside of the box and created these wonderful experiences for our kids, and then that influences them and is a catalyst for them to move forward in their own journeys. And so I just am so appreciative. One of our visions here is that each and every comment discover purpose and potential, and this is another example of that. So we are committed to continuing to build that legacy over time with the help and collaboration with our teachers. And today we just gave highlights of how we're able to do that with the support of the board, the MEA negotiating team, and everyone coming together to do the hard work that's important to continue to move us forward with our momentum. So thank you again, and if you have any questions, Sean and I are happy to answer those.
Thank you, Sean and Jonathan. All right. With the conclusion of our superintendent's presentation portion, the next item on our agenda is the hearing of the public. Tracy, do we have any tonight?
Nothing tonight.
All right. Well, this is a normal time in our meetings when we typically take a pause to let people move on with their evenings if they were here for either just the presentation portion or the hearing of the public portion. But it looks like we have a lighter crowd this evening, some diehards ready to go the distance with us, so we will continue moving forward. Item number 8 is our superintendent's recommendations, personnel items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to I'm going to run through not everything because this is there's a lot on here, and I encourage people to look through it because it really does highlight all the things that are going on here that are just so great for our students, and our staff provide these opportunities. I'll mention Javaris Powell's on this agenda, just thanking him for continuing to grow the enrichment opportunities for our kids beyond the school year. So we're trying to grow our summer enrichment opportunities for students. So you'll see that in Section C. That we're giving him some extended time to do that over the summer to continue that work. Section H, I just want to highlight this because I remember sitting here and begging for substitute teachers, and Tanya McCall and her team just going out and inviting people in to, come on, consider it, please. I know you just retired. We need you. We are just so grateful. This list is just enormous. People are coming here left and right to substitute teach. They're having great experiences. And I just want to say right now, our substitute teachers are not just, these aren't just like random people. Like I was sitting in Mary Horvath's math class, and she was building a community by having her students build these towers together. And she knows the value of building community so that the kids feel safe, so that they can actually share their ideas and share their math. So that's just one example of what our subs are doing. So they do great work, and we're just grateful for them. So continue to sign up. It's a great place to be to meet our kids. Section K, there's some resignations, people having other opportunities, and we're excited for their journey. Rich Hetzel in Section L has given us his notice for retirement. Congratulations, Rich, for and thank you for your service. In Section M, we do have some other people taking a leave that you'll see on here, and that information is in your notes. And then there are some salary adjustments in Section O. Now, the salary adjustments are based on the hours of completion of additional work. So Sean mentioned there's multiple ways that the salary increases. It's not just base, but there's additional, when the teacher does additional continued learning, which is wonderful, then they continue to adjust their salary on the salary scale as well. Section P, W, X, AA, AE, and AF. I'll just combine those together because it'll take me a long time. But all those sections highlight the amount of extracurricular things that go above and beyond. When we talk about extraordinary experiences, those are staff members, volunteers, coaches that pour into our kids, make a huge difference. I know I mentioned my son going to college, and he was influenced by our business department here, but he was also influenced by another teacher that's also a coach, and is a lacrosse coach. And so it's just people investing in our kids. And so if you have ever considered coaching, please also consider coaching in Mason. We would love to have you here. We have great kids, and they're wonderful, wonderful kids to work with. Section AD, this is one of the largest sections in the personnel agenda. These are event workers. Now, event workers, that list right there just demonstrates that we pretty much are open 24/7 here. We have events going on pretty much every night of the week, and those events need someone there to be a point person. And so these are event workers that actually go to those events. Sometimes it might even, like you'll see our athletic director on here, like, well, isn't that his job? Well, he's not on here for his work with our school. He's here because he'll be an event worker for other schools that use our facilities, because our facilities are so great. It's a common place for them to do the postseason games. And so our folks work those games so that people can use the beautiful facilities out here that our community has supported and made available for not just us, but for other schools. And then AJ, the last section there, is additional language interpretation support. So we are always adding interpreters to our bench so that we can support the needs of our different languages in our families. That's all my comments for tonight.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any other discussion?
I just want to shout out Tanya McCall, our Chief Talent Officer, who manages this organized chaos. It is a behind-the-scenes and thankless job, but you do it so very well that, this packet is full. So thank you for your hard work and dedication. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
It's good.
All right. Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Goffin?
Yes.
4-0.
Item number 9, Board OSBA Delegate and Alternate.
Not it.
Do I have a, let's see, do we make a motion here, Sean?
Yeah.
All right. Do I have a motion?
nominate?
So moved.
Nominate or motion?
Yeah, you just need to it's for the capital
Okay,
conference.
so
You just
we're
need to nominate somebody.
nominating, all right. Do we have a nomination
Said not it.
for the OSBA delegate?
Connie England.
Does she have to be here to
That is
accept?
so wrong. She could be the
No,
alternate.
Connie's done it before. It's not as mean as it sounds. Do we have to do this tonight? Because we didn't talk about this. Can we defer it?
Sure,
I mean,
we can wait.
4/5 of us are here. We should be able to solve this problem. Let's show some democracy in action.
I nominate Connie Yingling.
Okay. All right.
Does she
Sounds
have
like
to
we
We're
have
gonna have,
consensus.
we're gonna have an alternate. We're gonna have an alternate nominated.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Is there a second?
I think Matt seconded it.
Sure, second it.
All right.
Connie won't care.
No, she'll love it. All right,
She would like it.
here we go. We have a motion and a second
On the
Ms.
delegate.
on the
The
delegate.
delegate, yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Batchy,
Yes.
Mr. Steele,
Yes.
Mr. Galvin,
Yes.
Mr. Orr.
Yes.
To be clear, this isn't to go to the annual conference. This is for the business meeting for OSBA.
Correct.
So
That's correct, right?
The least exciting portion of Capital Conference.
But arguably the most important. So
Mm-hmm.
it's where they vote on pay raises for school board members.
I nominate Matt Steele for alternate.
I'll be alternate.
Second.
Mr. Steele,
Sure, yes.
Mr. Galvin,
Yes.
Mr. Orr,
Yes.
Ms. Batchy,
Yes.
4-0.
All right. Item number 10, superintendent's recommendations, action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, walk you through. We have a lot here tonight, so I'll just kind of quickly go through this list. Hamilton County ESC is the HCESC that you see on there. They do evaluations and support us as we get ready for the school year, so you'll see that on here as a contract. There's also professional development that our teachers have received in English language arts and math professional development, and so you'll see that contract on here as well for item B. Item C is Warren County ESC. They have a service agreement here where this agreement covers transportation for a student to a different facility that's meeting that student's needs, and so you'll see that agreement attached into your notes as well. Item D, this is Ohio Valley Voice Agreement. This is to support a student with a hearing impairment. And then the Cincinnati Occupational Therapy Agreement, which is item E, is also to support that student with OT services as well, to make sure that we meet the needs of each and every one of our students. Item F is Butler County ESC. So we do work with all of the education service centers around here, as you can see, from Warren County, Butler County, and Hamilton County, because they all have different areas that support the work we do here. This is an agreement that secures seats at a highly specialized therapeutic day program. So for students that might need additional support outside of what we can give them and the care we can provide here in our school district, we do have additional resources that we're so grateful for to meet their needs and their family needs. Butler County ESC also has teacher supported support for ESL services. So when we have ESL training for our teachers and they want to gain more understanding of how to use different strategies in the classroom to meet students' needs that have English as a second language, we do have Butler County ESC has done a nice job at that, and our teachers continue to ask for more services, so we'll continue to work with them to provide that professional learning. All Minds Academy Agreement is a specialized placement for students with some special needs. Item I on the list here is facility rental rate increase. As you saw that list of all of the facility workers, we use all of our facilities in order to pay for those the things that we need to fix and continue to keep those facilities great for people. We need to increase our rates, so we'll be increasing our rates a little over 5% from last year, so you'll see that in your notes as well. Item J, Alpha and Omega, they are the group that works mostly after hours, but some during the day for our custodial services. And this is specific to that same group for a wage increase, but for a maintenance person, we have an additional teammate that does maintenance for our district that comes from Alpha Omega, and this is a 2% increase for their salary as well. Capital Learning West is St. Sue. So St. Sue is one of our partners in our neighborhood, and because they're a private school, all of their funding requests through this comes through our list here, so you'll see that on here. Maximum agreement is a number, or a letter L. The maximum agreement is when we have nurses that do get sick, we have to get a substitute. We can't just go without a nurse, and so we have a substitute pool that we pull from, and that's the maximum services there, and that's really important for us. NWEA is basically, you've heard us talk about MAP assessments before, so those are local decisions that we make to have our own assessment in-house. This assessment helps for some universal assessment for understanding where our kids are with their math, their English language arts. I believe we also have
Focus on math.
just those two. Thank you. Yes, and they go all the way through grade 8, and then we do some strategic assessments in high school, I believe. So those are helpful. Our staff and our administrators know how to then take that data, make informed decisions, and it's been proven to be helpful for us as we go for a checkpoint for all of our kids. And our parents as well. Our students and our parents understand where they are. The SPARK agreement, so SPARK is, I don't want to pretend to remember what all the letters stand for, but basically this is a consortium that helps us with when we have all of our data that's important and the different pieces that we do with technology, we want to make sure those are hosted in a secure place, and that's really important for us. So we contract with Spark to increase that security, and so that we can protect us from those data breaches and other things that schools are always working towards, keeping things secure. And Christine and her team do a good job in working with Spark to make sure that's in place. Comet Savings and Loan. Interest rates. I mentioned earlier the bank, that's Comet Savings and Loan. And so they're excited to see their interest rates are going up. Is that right, Sean? You want to say anything about that?
Yeah, we're going to align these closer to what's actually out there in the market. So we're using our Star Ohio rate in effect as of August 1st. And so that'll allow them to be have their rate up to 5.43% for this year. And so hopefully that will help them be able to attain the funds that they need to process their transactions, do their training, and all the things they do to run the bank.
And just to clarify the monetary policy here, we're talking about interest rates on deposit accounts, not interest rates on loans. We don't
That is
offer
correct.
loans.
We do not offer loans.
This is not what we're charging customers. This
Thank
is what
you.
we're paying customers.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yes.
Steele for that
This is deposit accounts
Gonna
only.
refi.
Banker and me would like
refi
us
to that
very much
number.
to clarify that. So.
We do
Yes,
appreciate the
thank you.
clarification.
What do we charge on loans? Do they? looking to maybe refi if get a competitive rate from Common
I
Savings.
think you should
and
stop into the bank one day and just throw that question at the front office and see how they handle
I
that.
think the loans aren't quite big enough to refinance house mortgages.
Loans? Fair enough.
But I bet it would be competitive if it was. Item letter P, as in Paul. We have the MEA contract that we highlighted tonight, so we're excited to see that on here and for us to continue to move forward on that. So you'll see that item P. Item Q is the OSBA contract. So we have also another union that we worked with. Once we finished up with our MEA agreement and got a tentative agreement, we quickly sat down with our OSBA folks and sat down and have an agreement that we're going to be voting on tonight as well. Then we also have the non-union classified staff wage increase. So you'll see that coming out the same as our union increases, our teacher union increases. And then item S is administrative wages. Those follow suit with our teacher increases. So those will be the same as they always have been. And then item T is bus driver and student nutrition incentive programs. So I mentioned earlier that we did a great job recruiting and getting all of our substitute teachers in place. We've also put these incentive programs in place to secure bus drivers and student nutrition. And so we've made some adjustments to those, but there is still some sign-on bonus opportunities. So if you would like to be a bus driver in Mason City Schools, that has the most, I don't know for sure, but I think they're pretty comfortable buses, I'm hoping, right? Now, I know they're not air conditioning, so I will just go ahead and put that disclaimer out. But next week's going to be cooler. But please, if you have ever considered driving a bus, it's a very rewarding process. They build great relationships with our kids. It's how our kids start their days and end their days. Super important bookends of our kids' lives. Please consider joining us and take advantage of that sign-on bonus while we have it as well. We also have that student nutrition services. It's one of the hardest working, joyful groups that I get to go and serve with, and they do a nice job serving. It's the largest food service in Warren County. So join us if you are interested in doing that. That's all I have for superintendent recommendations.
Sean or Jonathan, could one of you talk a little bit more about who we are dealing with when we talk about our OPSI contract?
Sure. Yeah, so OPSI is our staff, custodians, maintenance, grounds, and HVAC. So we have about, some of those, as Dr. Cooper mentioned, some of our custodial staff are hired through Alpha and Omega, so not all of them are part of that union. These would be our staff group. We have about 19 in that group.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right. Any other discussion?
So our esteemed colleague, Connie Yingling, couldn't be here tonight because of a family commitment, but she made sure to reach out to me and to others to let everyone know that she would be an emphatic yes on all the contracts that were approved, and specifically the MEA contract. And so I want to personally thank her for her commitment to the negotiation process, with her care and empathy and wisdom and experience. I think really helped us and made a difference in these negotiations. And I want to say for myself that, much to Dr. Cooper and Sean's presentation, we are the beneficiaries of the seeds that were planted by previous boards. When we look at the commitment that has been made over time to valuing our staff and compensating them in the top tier of the market, I think sometimes we look at compensation. We all have jobs, and so raises and increases in compensation is something that we all concern ourselves with. But I hope that our staff knows that that's not the only way we value them. I feel like we have the best facilities in Southwest Ohio, a lot of which has been done debt-free through careful planning from this board and others. I feel like we have wonderful opportunities. We look through our personnel lists and opportunities to coach, to be a staff mentor for speech and debate. I know Ricardo Grayer's work with Model UN in the summertime has really helped my son. So those kinds of opportunities. I don't know if there's another district around that has a schools foundation where the staff can go and get generous grants for 3D printers or, I'll talk more about it, but stuffing backpacks for our underprivileged students. So I hope that our staff knows that, yes, we want to compensate you in the top tier of the market. How we have defined it here, I would say that we're probably at the top, but I'll leave that for some of my other colleagues to kind of go in detail about. But just want to tell them that we really appreciate their hard work and their dedication. And while this document doesn't contain the fullness of how much we appreciate and care for them.
Thank you, Ian. I also want to thank Connie specifically for those that aren't in this process intimately, like the union's bargaining team and the board's bargaining team. You don't necessarily have a practical appreciation for what it looks like when we talk about bargaining, but over the course of the last 6 months, I think we had a total of maybe 16 sessions, something like that. Connie was present at most of those, more than most. More than the rest of us on the board. I was able to attend some, but not all, and being able to convey back and forth to the board along with the rest of our bargaining team. We appreciate her presence at those sessions, and as Ian alluded to, her institutional wisdom, being on the board longer than any of the rest of us, and having her perspective is definitely valuable. I think that a lot of what Ian said, I would echo. The presentation that Sean, Jonathan, you guys presented earlier this evening, I think is something to definitely be proud of as as a board, as a district. 33275, I believe, is the largest 3-year salary base increase that this district has given to its staff through this process in the last 20 years. And as you alluded to, Sean, it aligns with this board's goal to compensate our staff in the top tier of our market. It accomplishes that, and it assures that when we talk about retaining and attracting top talent to our district, we are right in the mix with anybody else that would be, interested in either working in Southwest Ohio or bringing their family and sending their kids to school in Southwest Ohio. So I'm proud of that, the agreement that was reached, and also appreciative of the the support that the entire board and the consensus that my fellow board members have maintained throughout this entire process, and as well as the guidance that our team and our bargaining team have provided with us. So, and I'm excited to hear about the Comet savings and loan interest rate. I'm going to be giving somebody a call soon. All right.
Real quick, sorry, I
yeah.
didn't know if we were just going down the line. I just wanted to say a few things. One, I just wanted to thank the team who stuck through all these negotiating sessions, but I also wanted to make sure that I thanked the MEA team and our team for coming to that last negotiating session on August 5th to get a deal done, because we are approaching the start of school, and it takes two sides to come to an agreement. So I really appreciate the MEA came and met that day with the spirit of wanting to get a deal done before the start of school, and I just think that meant the world to our community, our families, and all of our teachers and staff to be able to get that done before school. Wanted to reflect too. Thank you, Jonathan and Sean, for walking us through some of the details. And Sean, thank you for sharing the slides on the trajectory of the comparative Masters plus 30 pay averages. As somebody who this is, I think, my 11th year on the board, I think we have always committed ourselves to staying in that top tier, and those slides really demonstrate that. And even just seeing the lines and how the lines go, I'm particularly proud that our line has been consistent. We have gone from 2014 to 2014 and now to 2027, almost basically on a straight line, where you see those other districts going up and going down and going up and going down, whereas I'm just proud that we've held that trajectory of having that be our North Star of staying in that top tier. And so I'm just proud that we're continuing that with this contract too. But I also wanted to say too that, we've known for a few years that the top tier was probably going to be defined, or at least will be for a while, by Wyoming, Indian Hill, and Mason. And I just wanted to thank our community for the tremendous investment that they continue to make in our schools. The reality is that Mason isn't the same as Wyoming or Indian Hill. We do not have the same resource base as Wyoming and Indian Hill. Indian Hill, we know, right? The income base that there is in Indian Hill. Wyoming has an income tax that helps pay for schools, for crying out loud, right? So Mason isn't Indian Hill or Wyoming, and yet our community steps up and invests in our students and our communities, our schools, and our teachers and staff, and the opportunities that we provide our students. I think we're in a tier of our own in that comparison group, to be honest, in spite of the fact that we are not maybe in that top tier of community-based resources, and that's in large part due to our community's investment. So really just wanted to kind of point out those things as we reflect today, and also just to say, more importantly, I'm just personally really glad that we got this done. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
I just briefly, because you all said, a lot of what I was thinking, but I am appreciative that we're at the end of this process, and Jonathan and Sean have taken time to present, to our community, here are the facts, and these are the facts that we've dealt with and considered. And, taken into account when going through our negotiations. I also feel like it's important to stress to our community and the MEA members and staff that we worked as a team throughout this process. The whole time it was a team. So maybe Connie's face was there, maybe Charles' face was there, but we were a team. We spent hours and hours and hours and hours, and then a couple more hours discussing this and wanting to do the right thing and wanting to show staff that we appreciate you so much. And Mrs. Sears here today, that is just the epitome of what we are and what we believe in, and just a great representative of Mason and Mason culture. So I am so happy that we were able to come to agreement. I look forward to moving on and working together to get back to work, get back to school, and let's focus on the kids. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I think that wraps up discussion on this item. So, Sean, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mrs. Abachi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Oro?
Clap it up to approving the
Changes
contract.
there.
Clap it up.
All right. Item number 11, Treasurer's Report. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
Just a couple of things to note. The monthly financial reports for both June and July are on here for approval. And then in our donations list, I always like to look and see what's happening there. Not a ton of donations this month, but again, I think Comet Cupboard might be on there every single month. They're always out there beating bushes and trying to drum up support for our needy families. So I appreciate Casey and Moran and their team and everybody all the work that they put in.
Thank you, Sean. Any other discussion? Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mrs. Abachi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Oro?
Item number 12, committee reports. We have a Mason Schools Foundation committee meeting.
We did, and a couple of items of note. One was that we approved Danny Timmons as a new Mason Schools Foundation board member. So welcome to Danny, who has joined our board. And then our other kind of thing of, this is a year where we don't have a gala. So if you're waiting anxiously in the mail going, where's my gala invite? We decided a few years ago to go every other year, partly because it's a lot of work to put on a gala, but we still plan to have a kind of auction and silent auction opportunities that people will have experiences that they can bid on for seniors, parents of seniors. If you're still wanting to get that grad package, that's going to be there, don't you fear. If you've been looking for a parking spot, there's some kind of noted things that we are not going to let that miss. But we are still kind of playing with what is the right mix for this fall to do some kind of coming together. And so we're likely kind of probably we'll do something around a football game, but we haven't totally nailed that down of what that will be. So stay tuned for that. Just know that I'm already seeing grants in action. Ian's going to share a little bit about our really successful school supply drive and all the things that people fund through the years with the Mason Schools Foundation. Our Safe Rider program that we started out was fantastic this year. That was done in large part with just the extra icing on top were things that the Mason Schools Foundation funded. And so our staff, all of our staff, and sometimes even students have really creative, amazing ideas to be a place where we can, without touching district dollars, go and allow some of those dreams and some of the risks to be taken, some of the things that don't even have to go perfectly. I love that that's what we get to do. So welcome, Danny, for joining us. And we're always looking for more people to get involved, maybe not necessarily on the board, but we need more hands and feet to join our team.
Thank you, Tracy. All right, I think that's the only committee report we have for since our last meeting. So item number 13, legislative update.
Yeah, there's just a few things since we met last. Last time I gave a full report, I believe it was our last meeting or the meeting before, on all the legislation that was moving through, and I put in your board notes just some of the things that have now been signed in as bills going forward. So Senate Bill 29 is aimed at protecting student data, privacy, and security, and so that's moved forward, and we're looking at how that impacts us. If there is something that is changed in terms of if student device is access to look at, we have a 72-hour period to make sure we're informing parents, which is something we would do anyways, but now everyone in the state will also have that as part of their policy. So if you were to look at a Chromebook and want to investigate that, our policy is always to go talk with the parents, but now everyone has a 72-hour period that they need to make sure they're speaking with families about that. That's Senate Bill 29. House Bill 214 is just about how a school district navigates different beliefs out there, and so making sure that no district requires a certain belief to go forward, and so there is that freedom for teachers and for individuals to have their own stories, their own beliefs, so it's not a one story. And so you can read more about that in House Bill 214. Senate Bill 49 and House Bill 214 combined together as well, and they added the 3 religious expression holidays for our students that they can have excused absences if they would like to take those. We already had a policy for some of these things, but we'll look and make sure our policy aligns with that, and that's something we'll do at our next policy review to make sure that that all aligns. That bill goes into effect in October, so we have a little bit of time. The Ohio Child Safety Act, which is what that's being called, which is Senate Bill 112. That's just that idea that this is an interesting one, but we'll have to double check. I think all of our things are up to code, but it's protective doors, making sure our doors and the assembly of the doors are safe and meet the code, and that's something I'm pretty positive we're up to speed on, because all of our things are newer, but I think with old construction or old buildings, that's something that they're looking into to make sure all of those are safe. And then Senate Bill 168, that was that DEREG bill that was put forward, and I had already read through all of the different aspects of that one before, so I won't go through all of that, but you do have that in your notes. But if anyone out there would like to learn more about what was in the DEREG bill, feel free to sit down with me, and I'll happily go through that, but it's a long list of things that go through there. I think there's other things on here, but those are the ones I wanted to make sure I highlighted from last time, and there's a handful of other things that were also voted into law. So you'll see more about that in my notes. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, next item is administrator commentary. Tracy?
Just save the date. Tuesday, September 17th is going to be a really exciting moment for our entire community to get to go inside and see what we've been talking about when we've been saying dreams are going to get made here. So the Dream Center here at the high school will have an official ribbon cutting, really a place of connection and collaboration and literacy and all kinds of makerspace. I really think I was sharing, Dr. Cooper and I were actually in this space doing some interviews with local media during our family welcome day, and just to watch mostly it was freshmen and sophomores coming by with their families, and everybody's jaw just dropped as they looked inside and saw this great space where we really do want students to really own, and the whole dream came from kids who came to us. So part of even this day, we're bringing back some of the alumni who are now, they've graduated maybe like 8 years ago, but they were stemming this idea, and to see like our student-run coffee shop that was part of their idea now going, and it had made its way, but now it'll have this home, and the creator spaces that are happening. We'll also, the day before, and the board will be here, and families in those schools to see Mason Elementary's ribbon cutting for their Dream Center, and Mason Intermediate's ribbon cutting for their Dream Center, and actually Mason Early Childhood Center's Dream Center, which opened last year, but we were also having this space and we didn't do a formal ribbon cutting, so we're gonna give it a try that day too on Monday. Monday will be a fun jumping from ribbon to ribbon, but really an exciting time. We're gonna try to brand that whole week as Dream Week, just to get excited about what is the possibilities that can happen in these spaces and the connections and community and business opportunities that we think, even for our even young learners, what kind of careers and problems they'll want to solve by just being in those spaces.
Thank you, Tracy. Amy?
If I didn't give the date, September 17th, Tuesday, September 17th, 6 to 8 p.m. for the high schools.
Simply, it's great to be back. It's been so wonderful to have our staff all back in our buildings, our families at Family Welcome Day, seeing them come through the carpool line, and of course our students. I think about on day one, we had a bus full of students at MEC who were literally cheering when they got to get off the bus to go to school, and that's how I feel too. You know, they just captured it. I just love that excitement. And I just, you know, I think we really had a great, and even hearing from others, like a special opening day when we got to all be back together as a staff and be reminded of our collective why of our student MCs really running the show beautifully, and students sharing their stories of really how they've grown over time and embodied our portrait of a comet skills that our community has said is so important too. Many of those students were actually nominated by educators who said this student has a great story to tell, and it would be wonderful to give them sort of a way to share that with our broader staff. And a huge shout out then also to Dr. Robin Jordan and Tracy, who really came alongside these students and helped them to find their story, their authentic voice, to cultivate it, and then to have confidence to get up on a stage in front of a room full of adults and their educators, to be able to tell that story really in their own voice. It was really powerful to see. I felt like I got, it's like a little like masterclass in how do you really like develop that personal story that is authentically yours. So welcome back to everybody. It's great to be here.
Thanks, Amy.
Just wanted to say it's great to be back to the rather regular rhythm of school, and it's been fun to do our bus duty with our colleagues. That's always fun in the morning and in the afternoon, and as Amy said, it was refreshing again to get student energy. My first day experience was I had a MEC student just come off the bus randomly and just give me a big hug and keep it moving. And I was like, this is amazing. This is what I should be doing every day. Everybody should just get a random hug from a kid to make you feel better. So again, I'm grateful for all the people in our staff that just took extra time to make sure that our kids got to where they needed to go and help our parents to find their way. And it's a great community of our folks making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah, it's exciting to be back. There's so much energy around in the summer. We're super busy, but there's just not a lot of small energy from our little people. But it's exciting to have them back. And I also want to encourage, to Tracy's point, please come out September 17th from 6 to 8. The space is absolutely incredible, and I want to give big props to Todd and his team, because I know he did a lot of the contracting and working with them, and that's hard. It's just really hard work, and he was making sure they were going to start or be open on time. So appreciate his efforts.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you, Christine. I wanted just to thank the board. Our OPSI group, while they're a union, only 19 there, they are the individuals, and before this job I had never worked directly with them, so now I understand what they do. But they're here when no one else is. They're here on Sundays when the HVAC goes out. They're here when it snows, rains, anything, and they never say a word. So to have the same appreciation for them as MEA is much appreciated. And our bus drivers, clearly, bus drivers, nutrition workers who are non-unionized, they were really grateful to receive the same as well. So thank you for all that.
Thanks, Todd.
I just wanted to thank all the staff that really helped start the school year off successfully. You know, we always talk about us having some of the biggest buildings in the state, and it's not an easy undertaking to have, 2,000 plus little tiny kids at MEC getting on and off the bus. And there's just a lot that goes into it, whether it's bus drivers or teachers or support staff. And so thank you to everybody who came together to make it go as smooth as it possibly could.
That's right.
Sean?
I just paint the picture. I have 4 kids of my own, try to get them in the car on time to go anywhere. And we're getting thousands, literally, of people that are this tall that might know their letters, might know their numbers, but they know they get on a yellow bus, and there's about 80 of them to choose from. So to make sure they get on the bus, I want to thank our MECC teachers, our executive team, all the DLT members, everyone that came together. We even had high school administrators coming over with yellow vest on with Ben Brown and Mr. Rompies to come over and help us get those friends on the buses. So just thanks for everybody coming together to get the year started in a safe way for our kids. A couple things I just want to just specifically call out. Our police safety team do a fabulous job of building relationships with our kids and you can find this on our YouTube site, but Yu Chen is one of our students. She told this story, 45, I think is the name of the story, but her connection to one of our police officers and the number 45. I won't tell you the story, but check it out because it's heartwarming. It's just one of those moments, but it just tells you that our safety team is so much more than just a safety team. They're people that are trusted adults in our buildings. I just want to call out Christine with all the work you've done with data and new systems, and holy moly, the hours that have gone into making that and continuing to problem solve. But the thing I like the most is just your willingness to continue to learn and get better and say, hey, what's next? And that is such a wonderful thing to have as a teammate. Todd and Mark Merzanowski. Todd and Mark have been running around with cold waters and giving Amy cold waters, myself, everybody cold waters to run out to our bus drivers because it's hot out there, and making sure our bus drivers are hydrated through this week. I love that hospitality and that intentionality. So thank you for living out Comet culture. Tracy, we already said something about the work at the beginning of the year, but it was beautiful, and thanks for all your communication. A lot of people don't fully appreciate communication is nonstop, and it's just constant, and you have to listen, and you have to be careful and thoughtful. And I just ask people to think about when you communicate to one person and they misunderstand your message. Imagine communicating to tens of thousands all the time, and it's a lot. And so being thoughtful and intentional about your communication as we kick the year off, it's really appreciated. Dr. Brennan and Sean have been out there just getting those little people in the right lines, and so I just appreciate both of you. And because it's not like that's what we do we love to do that, but it's one of our favorite things, as Tanya said, to get out there and be a part of the mix. And so I just and I had the blessing of I had a fun challenge. I think I'm going to make this a challenge maybe once a month, but to go to every classroom, every office, every bus in a 2-day period. It's crazy, but it's a fun challenge. To get out there, but to see everyone and just to see them in their space. I got to sit down with Maria Miller to talk about her new class, and we got to sit and just chat about the excitement of sports and politics and culture, and just to have those conversations with people out there and to hear and see what they're doing is such a joy because our folks are doing amazing things on a regular basis. So I'm just so grateful for that. Tracy said something about Dream Week. One way to make dreams come true is to invest in the Mason Schools Foundation. And so if you're a person out there that says, I want to see Mason City Schools continue to do above and beyond amazing things, you don't have to go to a gala. I mean, we love when we do have the gala, but you can invest. You can just come to the Mason Schools Foundation website and just say, because I can guarantee that financial investment goes to great things, and it makes a big difference in our kids' lives. So make that something on your list of considerations this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Item number 15, board commentary. Matt?
Amy, thanks for bringing up the staff opening day. I was lucky to be there and to witness. It was a great event to get us started off on the right foot. Our student leaders knocked it out of the park. Esme and Lauren, our MCs, were just phenomenal, and all the student voices we heard that day just telling their authentic stories and about their authentic lives. I think you couldn't have walked out of there not feeling inspired and just proud and hopeful for our entire world, to be honest. It just set us off on the right foot. And I'll just say, I want to thank our entire staff for a great start to the school year. The Steele family has had another incredible start, and our staff is to thank for that. Echoing quickly Jonathan and Tracy's points about the Mason Schools Foundation. So you can certainly donate, and we welcome donations at all times. We have a give every month opportunity where you can just set it at like a subscription, and you don't even think about it, and $10 goes to the Schools Foundation every month. It's super easy. But also, we need volunteers. We're an organization, I think, how many years now? 15 years? How old? Something like that.
2007.
So a lot of the folks on our board, and a lot of the people who have been spending a lot of time behind the scenes making all these things happen, if you think about it, a lot of their kids have graduated. And so they're hanging around because they love the community, and God willing, they will hang around for a really long time. But we're trying to find ways to make these really big jobs more manageable because people are very busy. So if you have any particular skills or any interest in serving, if you want to just help round up some donations for the gala or the silent auction, or you have some tech background, you can help us with our website, anything like that, but you might not have the time to commit to being on the board, we want to hear from you. So please reach out to me or Tracy or Jonathan or our newest board member, Danny Timmons in the back, and let us know that you have interest, and we'll find a way to get you plugged in and helping to contribute in that way. And then lastly, just want to have one more reflection on the summer of negotiating. I think I've spoken about it a few times at board meetings over the past few months, and I just wanted to again say how grateful I am for the community outpouring of support for our teachers. I mean, I think it is a genuine reflection of the amazing things that our staff does for our students and the experience they provide. What I'll say is that maybe a process thing, it's a weird process negotiating when you're sitting on the employer side. I mean, there are literally labor laws that limit what we can talk about, what we can say. But that said, I would say in the future, and this doesn't just apply to negotiations, but if you hear anything, you read anything on social media, or you hear anything that might not make sense to you or compute with you, or you say you have any doubt, maybe I want to hear whether that's really true. We're available all the time. Jonathan's available all the time. Tracy, you can pick up the phone. Please call us if something doesn't land right and you're curious about whether it's true. And just give a small example of something that made me really kind of sad when I heard from more than 1, 2, 3 people, for instance, that they heard that we were offering 0% increases. I don't think most people thought that was true, but enough people thought it was true that it was out there. And I would just say, I may not be able to answer every question, but I can tell you, I think under the federal law, labor laws, that's not true. And it doesn't comport with what we've just been presenting and what the history has been. So all that to just say, if something doesn't sound right or you've got a question, please ask us, because there are a number of people who reach out to us to give us a point of view, but we offered a conversation. Not many of those were had, so let's have more conversation. Let's reach out and talk with one another. That's my hope. And yeah, so looking forward to the Dream Week and the rest of the start of the school year. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Desiree?
Oh, just briefly, this is my first year in 15 years that I haven't had a student starting here, so that was rough. Okay, my daughter's in Tennessee, and I'm handling it. The loud sobby cries that happen.
Ugly cries happen at home.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I got the half hug. Bye, Mom. Half hug. I'm like, like you should be crying. But it's just so exciting to see the beginning of the school year in the parking lot. And I remember my daughter, she didn't even park in the parking lot. She's like, Mom, I got to buy a parking lot because I got to go decorate it. Never parked there. She parked, somewhere else. But,
you don't want to drive on it. That's what I always think.
Yeah, it was so beautiful. I mean, it was just amazing, the artwork. And I'm just so excited. Like the beginning of school, I'm still excited, like just to be a part of it. I'm so thankful to be here and still be a part of the Mason, the phase-in. I remember during COVID, and that was just awesome. It was just one of the great things that came out of COVID, and it's a great time of the year, and we're just learning, all the new students and the names and their interests, and I love this time of year. It's just so fun. So I'm so glad that we are ready to start, and we're going to have a great year.
Thanks, Desiree. Ian?
Just want to thank Allison Sears for her dedication. I think it's important to have examples of excellence, examples of what's possible. And so I hope not only that she inspires and has inspired the students in her class, but her colleagues to know that, you know, being recognized amongst your peers is possible, and something that you can do and you can work for. So just want to thank her for her dedication to her craft and to her classroom and to this school district. So we're better for her being here. So want to thank her. So I alluded to a Mason Schools Foundation drive that happens sort of before school starts, and it's the back to school drive. And I have a personal connection to it because my wife, who is far more patient and far more generous than her husband, organized this drive for students who can't afford their supplies and maybe need a little help to be ready on day one when they show up to the school. I know in a school district like ours, it's hard to conceive that there are children who need that support and families that need that support. But they've been with us, and they live among us, and they are our friends and our neighbors and our students. And so I do want to give a big shout out to everyone who volunteered. So the Stuff the Bus happened at Walmart and Drug Mart, and Walmart were great partners. Walmart gave a $1,000 grant to the Mason Schools Foundation. So, and Kevin, the general manager at Drug Mart, is fantastic and has been a fantastic partner, not only to the foundation, but to the school district as well. So, I think they raised something like $6,000. Then, you know, Jessica wrangled a bunch of volunteers to stuff the backpacks, and we got those over to the schools. And so I'm just, all the behind the scene things, and I'm just very proud of her. I know how much time and effort and energy and love that took. So I'm very proud of you, and thank you, Jessica, for doing that. Had a moment of reflection at Convocation. To see Lauren and Esme up there using their student voice made me remember, I don't know, what's this, Jonathan, 6, 7 years for you?
7, yeah.
7 years ago, a rising 6th grader got up there and talked about student voice. And now that little girl's a senior. Wow. And so it was really cool to see the student progression of it all, right? Where her voice has taken her and to where these young women were headed. And so it just kind of like, oh, this is real. This is really happening, because she doesn't have a parking spot because she can't drive. So we didn't have that, but it's the energy to start school is amazing, and really grateful that that it came together in the way it did, and just hearing from all the students and the impact that a staff member, a coach, their parents made on them to get them through their journey and to keep them motivated was wonderful. I think I do have another last thought on something that I've been kind of thinking about. Local politics is a very interesting thing. It's kind of a two-edged sword, and two-edged, I think of it, it's local, so we're neighbors, right? I can see you in Kroger. You know, our kids might have a play date. We're here. My phone number and email address are on a website. You know, I get phone calls and emails all the time about school district stuff. And so the other side of that coin is that because we're that accessible, it feels sort of easy at times to say things to people that are personal. And this isn't a cry for me, Argentina. I think the 5 of us, I've gotten to know my 4 colleagues very well, and they're all fairly thick-skinned people who understand that, you know, coming with elected office is a certain amount of scrutiny and criticism, and that's fine. But there are people that love us, that are friends with us, that know us, and all of us have children. Some of us still have children in this district, and they hear what we say. They hear how we say it. And so it's been said that we are not what we do. Who we are is how we do it. And so as we reflect on what this summer has been, I hope that there is space and time for us to think about who we are. And if we lived up to the culture and the commitments that we have made, and if we didn't, how do we do better going forward? And so I thank those people, to Matt's point, that reached out for a conversation. We are available for those. The ones that I had went just fine, right? And it was collegial and cordial, and there was an exchange of ideas. There were no epithets or personal attacks. It was very, very good, but very good exchange of ideas. That's the good side, because that keeps us in community. That keeps us in connection. And so, to Matt's point, more of that, please. But for those who feel like it's easier to sling arrows, they may hit us and bounce off and hit our kids, our wives, our friends. And so, when there are those that are fearful to come back to school or to be in certain spaces because there may be people that say negative or derogatory things, I think we have to think again about how we do what we do. I love advocacy. I believe in it deeply. I believe in all those things, but there's how you do it, and that matters because it speaks to who you are. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Ian. Forgive me, I am refreshing as our Mason volleyball team is in the 5th set against Roger Bacon, up 14-11. They played a 15 in the 5th set, if you don't know. It's 2-2, so that's a nail-biter going on right now. I know our boys' soccer team is facing off with Moeller down at NKU tonight, and that is like the game of the season for Southwest Ohio in the regular season. I'm sure whoever wins will have bragging rights for a little bit, and then they'll probably face off again later in this season. I know our cross country season is underway, and excited for the upcoming traditional invitational that takes place in a couple weeks. Golf and tennis have been also swinging away and getting some good results, and then our football team has a challenging open to the season, two road games to start the year off, and it feels like we've usually become accustomed to those guys kind of welcoming us back into the school year, and it feels a little bit strange to have to wait so long before we get that first game at home under the lights, but we are definitely looking forward to welcoming them back in a couple of weeks. And so good luck, and excited for the progress of all our sports teams. I know volleyball had a win last week, first time since 2008 that they beat Ursuline. Wow. Big win. And then our girls soccer team also went down and took a win off of St. Ursula the other week. So exciting start to the fall for all of our sports teams. An exciting start to the school year. I will echo also for everybody that was involved. I appreciate that we were able to reach an agreement before the start of the school year, to kind of get that finished and look ahead and move forward with why it is that we all spend so much time here, why it is that we all do what we do and commit so much time. It's for our kids in the classroom, for our community, and to make sure that they have the best experience that they can have as students, the best experience that they can have as learners. And I'm really, really grateful that we were able to reach that resolution. I'll also echo just a little bit of what my fellow board have said. We work as a team. Nobody, it's again hard to appreciate when you're not in the process, but nobody gets any more of the credit or deserves more accolades than the other for when we reach an outcome of some type. This is something really unique, I think, about Mason School District in particular. Is the we have a reputation, as Sean and Jonathan alluded to, over the last however many years, of being competitive and seeking to retain top talent in the education market. We've backed that up with the compensation that you saw. But I think there's more that goes into attracting families and educators to a school district. And one of those things that you can't really quantify is the way that an elected school board is able to work together, is able to reflect the values of its community, and to be able to collaborate. And that's something that, especially in a season like this past one, I'm really appreciative of, having board members who, bring different perspectives sometimes, but at the end of the day, are able to find a consensus and are able to support our district, support our administrators, support our staff and our teachers with a collective vision. And on that note, and a little bit on the note that Ian touched on, I think sometimes we, there's blurriness as to who is negotiating and who is deciding things, and we have a great district leadership team, that we as a board rely on for a lot of guidance and a lot of insight and decision making. But at the end of the day, the MEA collective bargaining agreement that we reach is an agreement between us as a board and our union. And so, to the extent that there's any, perception or confusion in the community that, we have a superintendent who is very, very visible, very accessible. We have a treasurer, likewise, who's very visible, very accessible. We have a public information officer who's very visible, very accessible. They are administrators that, we as a board provide guidance, guardrails, a vision to, and then we entrust them to execute on that vision. And so, to the extent that any ill will or hard feelings are taken away from a process like this, or a process that you don't agree with the outcome on, as Ian, as Matt, as Desiree said, we're here. We signed up for this. Our phone numbers, our email addresses are on the website. I am very grateful for those who, throughout the last several months, have reached out with different perspectives than I think we have perhaps sometimes held as board members. But through that dialogue and conversation, I have not had a negative conversation. Even if we've ended a conversation in different places, not seeing eye to eye, it really is a valuable process to talk things out and to hear from somebody, the rationale and the vision in more detail than what you might pick up second or third or fourth hand if you're scrolling, on the internet sometimes. So grateful that we are moving into a new school year. Grateful that it's August and we've got the buses humming. We've got the classrooms full of little energy, little hugs. Might take Tanya's advice and go park myself outside of MEC, even though I don't have a kid there anymore, and just collect a little bit of that little kid energy that comes bounding through the doors in the mornings. But looking forward to a great year, and go Comets. And have I filibustered long enough to get a result from our Mason Sports Radio? Yes, Mason 3, Roger Bacon 2. So,
All right.
breaking news. Good job, ladies. All right. With that, I'll move for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.